November 1942. Snow begins to fall over the ruins of Stalingrad, soft at first, then heavier, until the entire city seems swallowed by white silence. For the German soldiers trapped among the wreckage, this was not just weather. It was a new enemy, silent, merciless, and colder than death itself. They had come east with promises of glory, told that the Red Army was on the brink of collapse. But here, on the banks of the Volga, they met a city that refused to die. Among the shattered buildings, battles raged from room to room, floor to floor. Every stairwell became a fortress, every window a sniper's nest. There was no front line anymore, only chaos. A German officer wrote home, his handwriting trembling. "We no longer fight men. We fight shadows that emerge from the smoke and the rubble." As the days grew shorter and the temperature fell, the Soviets struck back. In the frozen steppe north and south of the city, columns of tanks and infantry began to move through the snow. Their operation had a single name, Operation Uranus, a bold plan to encircle and destroy the entire German Sixth Army trapped in Stalingrad. On the 19th of November, 1942, the Soviet artillery opened fire. The thunder of thousands of guns echoed across the Volga plain, shaking the sky itself. Within days, the Axis flanks, manned mostly by Romanian and Italian divisions, collapsed under the Soviet onslaught. By November 23, the Soviet pincers met near the town of Kalach, cutting off nearly 300,000 German soldiers inside Stalingrad. The hunters had become the hunted. The trapped soldiers waited for rescue. Berlin promised an air bridge, supplies by plane, food, fuel, ammunition. But every German transport aircraft that approached Stalingrad's burning airfields was met by Soviet fighters or anti-aircraft fire. The Luftwaffe lost dozens of planes each day, unable to keep up with the desperate needs of the men below. Soon, rations were reduced to a few frozen potatoes and crumbs of bread made from sawdust. Then came the real killer, the cold. Temperatures plunged to -40 degrees Celsius. Men froze in their trenches overnight, their weapons jamming from the ice. Some soldiers resorted to burning furniture or even books to keep warm. When the food ran out, they ate the meat of horses, dogs, and sometimes leather torn from their boots. The winter showed no mercy, not to the invader, nor to the civilians who still clung to life among the ruins. Across the river, in the Soviet lines, conditions were little better. Civilians huddled in cellars without heat, while soldiers bled in the snow. But unlike the Germans, they fought with something else: desperation, fueled by the knowledge that this was not just a battle for a city. It was a battle for survival, for home, for the very existence of their nation. In the headquarters beneath the ruins, General Friedrich Paulus, commander of the Sixth Army, sent frantic messages to Hitler. He begged for permission to retreat, to break out before it was too late. But the order from Berlin was cold and final. "There will be no retreat," Hitler commanded. "The Sixth Army will hold Stalingrad to the last bullet." And so, trapped in a frozen grave, Paulus obeyed. By December, Stalingrad had become hell on earth. Frostbite and starvation killed more men than bullets. Those still able to fight did so with numb fingers and hollow eyes. The Soviets, now surrounding the city, waited patiently, knowing time itself was their greatest weapon. Then came Christmas. In the ruins of a bombed-out building, a handful of German soldiers gathered around a small fire, humming Stille Nacht. The song drifted through the smoke and snow, a haunting echo of peace in a place where peace had died long ago. Outside, the corpses of comrades lay frozen solid, their helmets glazed with frost. Inside, the men stared silently into the flames, knowing that no rescue would come. By the end of December, the Sixth Army was disintegrating. Entire divisions vanished in the snow. Paulus's reports grew shorter, his words colder. Fuel gone, ammunition low, thousands dying each day. In Berlin, Hitler refused to believe it. He still imagined Stalingrad holding a fortress that would never fall. But the truth was undeniable. The mighty Wehrmacht, the pride of Nazi Germany, was being destroyed not by superior numbers, but by the cold, by hunger, and by their own arrogance. As the wind howled over the ruins, Stalingrad stood broken, bleeding, but alive. The Germans, once conquerors, now huddled in their bunkers like ghosts, waiting for the inevitable end. And in that frozen silence, the world began to understand that this battle would change everything. The turning point of the Second World War was not written by victory, but by survival. January 1943. The Sixth Army collapses. The German dream of conquest in the East dies in the snow. This was the winter that devoured an empire. But the price of victory for both sides had only begun to unfold.